Shalom and welcome to Jerusalem Studio. Turkey's ruler, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, is quite open about his dreams or perhaps delusions of grandeur. He longs for the golden age of the Ottoman Empire to return and will likely not object to being Sultan Recep the Magnificent. Erdogan's protege, his junior by 3 decades, has been the self-declared president of Syria for the last 5 months. However, while Ahmed al-Shara, also known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani, may for tactical reasons wish to forget his background as the leader of the designated terrorist organization Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, which with Turkish help propelled him to power, this could run counter to Erdogan's plans. The Turkish-Israeli talks in Azerbaijan, meanwhile, may very well ease the tension between Jerusalem and Ankara, but at the same time, they may also serve to fine-tune Erdogan's move to keep control over al-Shara. Joining us to dissect these matters all the way from northern Israel is Colonel in Reserve Dr. Adnan Wehebe, who is a research fellow at the Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University and a lecturer at Haifa University. It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
It's a pleasure indeed. Also joining us from central Israel is Dr. Eytan Cohen Yanarocak, who currently is a senior fellow at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security, as well as a research fellow at the Moshe Dayan Center at Tel Aviv University. It's a pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. And last but not least, our TV7 editor-at-large, Mr. Amir Oren. Amir, the Syrian file is a whole list of complexities, to say the least. Set the stage for us.
So obviously, Julani or Ahmed al-Shara was a terrorist, perhaps still is, even when he's wearing a coat and tie. And he's trying to present a Western-oriented profile, including taking his wife, the acting first lady of Syria, on a trip to Turkey back in February, much like Bashar Assad took his own wife, Esme, on trips in order to show that they are a couple. Osama bin Laden did not present any of his several wives on camera, but Julani wishes to be depicted in the Western press as forward-looking, modern. But regarding his relationship with Erdogan, of course there are common interests between the two and their countries or organizations. The real question, which our experts are better suited to answer, is who is using whom? Is al-Shara, who was known earlier to be exploiting several of his mentors, always leapfrogging on the backs to the next station, will he be able to use Erdogan, or will Erdogan, who is much more experienced and much more powerful, be able to take al-Julani and remind him of the relation of forces, the ratio of forces between them?
Indeed. Well, Dr. Cohen Yanarocak, I'd like to start with you, since this past weekend we had a summit, the Antalya summit, during the course of which Abu Muhammad al-Julani was warmly welcomed as a guest of honor by the Turkish president, as well as the foreign minister and others, and pretty much established as a figure that Turkey is very keen on seeing him succeed. What are we to take out of those various remarks that came out of that specific summit, and to what degree was that the stage for his subsequent trip both to the United Arab Emirates and also to Qatar?
Okay, I think the timing was very meaningful. Of course, the Antalya summit was scheduled well before, but given the Israeli airstrikes in Syria that took place in Palmyra, Hama, and T4 bases, we all were informed that the Syrian president were invited, or let me say, was summoned by President Erdogan to Turkey. So of course, the visit was not a surprise. He was warmly welcomed, and I guess the Turkish foreign minister, when he hugged El Julani and he accompanied him, he was very much aware that these pictures would be viral in the social media. Of course, that was a very clear message to Jerusalem that Turkey stands firm with the new Damascus government. And you also asked in your question regarding what was the most important messages from Antalya summit. Of course, besides the tirelessly delegitimization efforts that were done by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, we also heard a very important campaign that was declared again by the Deputy Turkish Foreign Minister Nuh Yilmaz. He openly said that Turkey is supporting the new regional initiative called the Neighbors of Syria, that would seemingly, acting against the ISIS. I think ISIS here is a fig leaf. These five states, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and Jordan, they nowadays they are forming a joint command base, and seemingly they will act against the ISIS. But their main objective, as also Nuh Yilmaz revealed, is acting against the state of Israel. And I think that was, in my part, that was the most important message of the Antalya Forum, that the current negotiations in Azerbaijan to mend the fences between Israel and Turkey regarding Syria and to open a new channel between the two countries is not the end of the story. It is the only beginning of a new chapter of a friction between the two countries.
Thank you, Dr. Cohen Yanarocak. Dr. Webe, I'd like to hear your take. Please give us an overview of Syria's current state of play, also vis-a-vis the Antalya conference, his trips recently to the Emirates and Qatar, but also from a broader perspective and domestically, internally more specifically, what is the current state of play?
Yeah, we should first remember that internally, Al-Julani government, the new government in Damascus, did not till the moment gain any internal legitimacy. And it's the first title that should be put in front of all those regional and international actors that are trying somehow to gain some support and to give legitimacy for Turkey and the new project in Syria with Al-Julani government. And I think that Julani was sent to, with the Turkish guidance, was sent to MBZ lately, to the Gulf, to try to gain support from the Arab world, together with those efforts that you have mentioned, interacting with foreign governments to gain external legitimacy. This cannot change the reality on the ground in Syria, and what will determine the first step for this the acknowledgement of this government must become from inside. So Syria has experienced the disaster and the civil war, as we remember, and there is still one religious color in this government. Where if you look at the civil society, it's too little. It's not emerging as a new dream, as a new interaction for rebuilding the state. And mainly the army is still built from the HTS, from the Hayat Tahrir Sham, mainly lifting beside all the officers that they are with no job. They've been for lifetime fighting for Syria. It's a big problem where the other minorities are not involved, are not part of this rebuilding of the and the emergence of the new state. Not to mention also the foreign fighters of the jihadis that they are still on Syria that came for the Caliphate Islamic project and not for building a new national dream of Syria. Probably all those states that you mentioned in the West. And of course, the United States of America that till the moment they do not really acknowledge this new government and together with Israel and the Arab world that is still sitting on the fence and trying to watch what is the next step, they will never support this new government with the Turkish guidance. They take into account that Turkey uh, do not have the same strategy and the same interest with the Arab world. So I would say that. All those efforts that are done externally will not help the new government in Damascus with the lack of the interior legitimacy that is very much needed. We can see that Syria is moving towards the decentralization. We can see higher voices that are rebuilding the local defense strategies in the areas like the Kurds, like the Druze in the south, like the Alawites that are right now connecting with the Iran, connecting with the former officers of the Assadi regime that are still in Russia and in Iraq and elsewhere, in order to build another strategy. And all those minorities, as well as Damascus itself, are trying to gain external support in this very complex new reality in Syria.
Very complex is an understatement, Mr. Owen.
There is quite a difference between a terrorist organization or a militia and a national army with an air force, with an armored corps, the way Syria threatened Israel, and of course a missile force too. And until the HTS, under the guise of a new Syrian army, becomes such a force, it will not be a real danger to Israel. Of course, the Turks may try to build such an army, but Israel has wisely struck both the armored vehicles, the aircraft, and the bases, so that they will not have an infrastructure. What is interesting also, building on what Dr. Weber just said, is that after Turkey, the next stops on Al-Julani's itinerary were the UAE and Qatar. And we know that Turkey, along with Qatar, the Muslim brethren in Egypt, and Hamas, this is a hostile alliance against Israel. And if Julani,
Not only Israel.
not only Israel, but let's be Israel centric for a moment. If Al Julani turns out to be the fifth member of this star, this alliance, he will have a hard time from Israel. It is not in his interest.
Dr. Cohen, Yanarocak, Turkey is obviously heavily invested in the success of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham consolidating its power in Damascus and over all of Syria. Nevertheless, it is deeply concerned by the number one on its threat priorities, and that is the PKK or IPG under the umbrella organization of the Syrian Democratic Forces in northwestern or northeastern rather Syria. To what degree is this dynamic resolved following the arrangements that were reached between the leadership of the IPG and Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or are there still ongoing tensions between the two sides?
Okay, in my opinion, the agreement that was reached is far from being perfect. Yes, on paper, the Damascus administration and the PYD-YPG Kurdish guerrilla group, they reached an agreement that it's kind of a coexistence agreement. that the PYD-YPG had to be integrated into the new Syrian state's mechanisms. However, what we are seeing that this agreement is not implemented on the field. That the Kurds are still seeking to secure their ethnic rights by receiving kind of a constitutional recognition. And as far as it will not be realized by the Damascus government, I think that this would be only a lip service that the both sides, reached on an agreement. And of course, the Turks are also supervising it from very close because this is their red line. They do not want to see any kind of Kurdish autonomy that may, trigger a domino effect also in Turkey, in Iran. And therefore, for the sake of the unitary state notion of Turkey and also for Syria, they keep emphasizing the importance of the central government of Syria. And I think maybe Erjulani is ready to, live with a kind of a solution with the Kurds, but because of the Turkish pressure, he has no maneuverability. That is his core problem. And when I'm also looking at the Turkish press, I also see something very interesting. Many pro-Erdogan Turkish news outlets they are seeking to link Israel's existence in southern Syria. That is kind of an attempt of reaching towards the northeast Syria. They even name this corridor with an Israeli name that we are not familiar. They are taking it as the David Corridor. Seemingly, at first step, Israel is seeking to form this Druze canton from, Israel is trying to destabilize southern Syria with this Druze canton. And as the second step, via this corridor, in Turkish eyes, Israel is seemingly trying to approach to northeast Syria to unite with the Kurds. Of course, these are baseless accusations, and these are far more ambitious for a country like Israel. We know the capabilities of Israel. We do not have a population like China or even Turkey. Okay, so in order to realize such ambitious projects, you need manpower, and we all know that Israel lacks that kind of manpower. So even if we are talking about northern Syria, the Turkish conspiracy theory circles, they are there also once again, to link Israel to that arena as well. So I also wanted to provide you this kind of an angle.
Interesting. Well, of course, the American presence in the Al-Hasaka region is still very much there, and the Turks would not challenge the Americans in their demands under U.S. Central Command so long as President Donald Trump has not voiced his intentions with regard to that territory, something that everybody in Turkey expected to happen from day one of the new administration in Washington. But to their regret, it seems that the Trump administration has other matters on its priority list. But nonetheless, Dr. Webe, I'd like to hear your take on the complexity of Syria, since when we're looking on the broad scheme of things, HTS does not have the manpower to consolidate its power. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham may have won its rule over Damascus by the enabling of its forces by Jaish al-Watani, which is a Turkish proxy of roughly 15 militias. But nonetheless, this Turkish proxy is spread out across continents with basically doing Turkish baiting from Libya all the way to Somalia and Sudan, and therefore it's not going to earmark all of those forces just for Syria. And therefore, to what degree are we expected to see a more proactive engagement of the Turkish military proper?
Well, we can see the Turkish behavior. They have their ambition in the Mediterranean, in the Red Sea as well. They are in Libya. They do not really want to leave Syria. They have a lot of problems. First of all, with the super states. A lot of questions are asked from the Turkish angle. Is the United States going to stay somehow in Syria? To what extent they are going to be involved in the new order in the Middle East and in Syria in particular? Is Russia is going to redeploy on the western side, on the coast side, seaside of Syria in the Alawite area? It seems to be yes. And then the Israeli strategy and the Jordanian strategy. Lately, we are hearing also Jordan is trying to do some reach out instead of just waiting in order to get interfered in South Syria as well as the depth, together with the minorities there. So all those questions are very much sensible for Turkey, because Turkey knows that till the moment she is relied on the Damascus government that has little legitimacy internally, and we know that there are four militias that belong to Turkey that still are still acting inside Syria. They are deployed somehow in Syria itself. Turkey, as we know, when Israel attacked the T4 air camp in order to keep the superiority in the air. And we know that later on, the two sides, Israel and Turkey delegations, had met to coordinate in Baku. That there is a lot of open questions till the moment. So Syria has a lot of foreign forces on it, and Turkey in particular is still with less answers and much more questions. The first thing that Turkey wants is to deepen the governability of this new government in Damascus, and it's not done till the moment. Later on, after this stage, we will see Turkey much more active. First of all, to act against any attempt of the previous regime and of the Iranians to get really involved in the Syrian arena. And it will be the main friction later on, not with Israel, not with the south of Syria, but with the Iranian new strategy in Syria and via Syria towards Lebanon. This will bring to further tension between those two Muslim non-Arab two regional states, Turkey and Iran, and this will determine the new position of Turkey in Syria.
Indeed. Well, we're drawing near to the end of the program, and I'd like to give each and every one of you the opportunity to have a closing statement. Please keep it short, under 40 seconds each. Mr. Cohen, we'll start with you.
The Jordanian Prime Minister, who is also the Minister of Defense, is in Washington this week for talks at the State Department and the Pentagon. Obviously, the Turkish-Syrian angle will come up. And Anan Weber mentioned the term new order. For President Trump, he is looking also for new orders. He wants Turkey to order American-made planes if the relationship is being improved. Obviously, this is all going to be part of the Ankara-Washington axis. And as he said, Erdogan is a great leader and he's a great friend.
With that being said, President Trump may say one thing and do something else in many of those cases. And I doubt the United States will provide Turkey with any of those aircraft unless Turkey forgoes its S-400 systems. But Dr. Cohen Yanarocak, your take?
Sure. I also would like to I would like to refer to the latest Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs announcement, the statement right after the Israeli bombing in Syria. At last, they revealed their, real agenda. They tagged the state of Israel as the biggest and the most serious threat against Turkey's national interests. The day after, Mr. Fidan delivered a, more calm statement that he has no intention to confront with Israel, but still he made it public that Israel today is considered as the most important security threat for Turkey, and I think this is a very important escalation that we should highlight here.
Absolutely. Dr. Weber?
Syria and Iraq, this centralization, very weak central governments, where there is strong, much more strong, let's say, sub-state autonomies. In Syria, there will be four: the Alawites, the Druze, the Kurds, and the Sunni in the north. This is the new state in Syria.
Dr. Ranan Wehbe, Dr. Cohen, Yanarocak, and Mr. Amir Oren, I'd like to thank all of you and to thank our viewers as well. Until our next edition from here in Jerusalem. Shalom. The Middle East, home to the cradle of civilization, retains a reputation from time immemorial as one of the most complex, conflict-ridden regions of the world. A cluster of nations, religions, powers, and influences, Mideast intricacies pose conundrums to even the most astute individuals. Bombarded daily, indeed every minute, by a barrage of information, some accurate, yet most of it less so, TV7 Israel invites you to watch and hear some of the most knowledgeable experts, most of whom partook in creating policies shaping this region today. Join us for Jerusalem Studio every Tuesdays and Fridays for content that truly matters.
I'm Eran Etzion, former Deputy National Security Advisor here in Israel, a diplomat, a strategist by training. I'm very happy to be at TV7 and offer my interpretation along my esteemed colleagues. The strong point of TV7 is to be a reliable source of authoritative insight in an era of shallow news environment that is very difficult for viewers to trust.